All right, this lesson is on masking. I'm going to be showing you 3 different types of masking. The first one is shape masking, where you take a shape and you can custom build it, or you can take a pre-existing shape like a square or a rectangle or a circle and create a mask for it. And then anything within that mask will be revealed and the rest would be hidden. So in this case, this is the video that's revealed and this is hidden because the background is black. It just shows through to black. Okay, so if we play this, you'll see the video playing through that hole. Okay, you're gonna go ahead and stop it. And then we have the next one is a swipe reveal, where it reveals itself in a swiping manner. You'll also notice that it has a bit of a feathered edge here, so I'll show you how to do that. Okay. The third type is a sequentially guided stroke mask, and basically it goes like this, where you take a stroke path and you basically reveal the image as you drew it in your stroke. Okay, so those are the 3 types of masking that I'm going to cover. All right, so to demonstrate, I need to open the same file back up, but without any of the masks I've already done. So this is a clean file here. Okay, so the first one, what we need to do to create a mask, basically you just go to the layer that you want to apply the mask to and you select it. And while it's selected, that's very important, otherwise it won't work. While it's selected, you draw the shape directly on top of it. So in this case, I'm just going to grab an ellipse. You could custom make it with the pen tool if you wanted. And to just quickly do it, I'm going to use the ellipse tool. And as you start dragging, you'll notice it'll show the background and it'll start revealing parts of the image here. So I'm going to go here. And if you don't have it exactly where you want it, you can still move it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my arrow tool. While it's selected, I'm just going to reposition it. You'll notice it'll reveal different parts of the image, so you can position it where you want. Okay, so I'm just going to put it in the center here. Okay, and you'll notice it built a mask for you. Now, since you don't want it to animate and move around, you just want it positioned there, but you can add like a feather. So for this, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. It's going to be stationary, but it's just going to be feathered. It's going to look kind of like a vignette like this. Okay, so the whole thing's going to be like that. It's not animated, it's just sitting there. The video underneath is moving, but not the mask. Okay, so that's one. All right, that's just a stationary one, and there's different settings that you can change here if you want to test them out. And then the next one we're going to do is actually going to be on this next part of it, this particular piece. This is the logo, and this is going to be a mask reveal that'll kind of glide over. So for this one, same thing. You need to select the layer that you want to apply the mask to, and you're going to go ahead and grab, say, a rectangle. You can grab any shape, really, just whatever shape you use, that's how it's going to reveal. So we're going to just draw a rectangle, and you draw it off because you want it to not be covering it, because otherwise that's revealing it. So you draw it off to the side where it doesn't cover up the logo to begin with, and then to reveal it, you draw it on. So we leave it like this. We draw the shape on the left-hand side or on the right-hand side, depending on what way you want it to animate. And then you go into the mask, and you'll notice there's a mask here. And what you can change is you can actually change the shape. Okay, we don't want to change it now. We want to animate it to swipe through. So at the very beginning of time here, we go ahead and click Mask Path. Okay. And then what we do is we go down the timeline and say at about what time do we want it to reveal. And we'll say, oh, in a few seconds. So we'll go down the timeline right here. And then here is where we're going to adjust this shape. Now you can adjust the shape here by going and tweaking these settings, but I prefer to just grab my black arrow and reshape this here. So I'm just going to grab this shape, grab that shape. I just clicked off of it. And you'll notice as I expand it, what it's basically doing is revealing parts of the logo underneath it. So it's mask revealing it. Okay, so I want to move the other part too down here. And now when we swipe, you'll notice it'll reveal this way. That's a very sharp reveal, so you can also add feather to it, just like we did on the other one, to give it that kind of vignetted feel. But I want it to be feathered all the way, so I'm just going to say over here at the beginning, I'm just going to grab it. I'm not going to time it because I don't want it to animate to be feathered. I want it to permanently, all of it be feathered. So I'm just going to select a feather and do that. And sometimes you have to go in here, go further down so you know, see what it looks like, test it out. and you can either add more or less. So I'm going to do more just so you can see it. And it'll go like this. Okay. So the whole thing is vignetted all the way across as it's revealing. Okay. Now the third type of masking, this one's a little bit more time consuming. The guided path one. That's this one here. To do this one, you usually want to zoom in a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom into like 400%. And then I'm going to use my hand tool to move down so I can see what I'm doing. And this might actually be a little bit too much. So I'm just going to go into 200 or something. Okay, there we go. And then you're going to go and select the layer that you want to mask. So it's going to be this one here. So we're going to go and select presence. It's just text typed on there. And I'm going to go and I'm going to grab the pen tool. And this is where you create a guide. Okay. Now, notice how in the other one we used a shape to reveal or to block out the area that we wanted to reveal. Well, we're going to use a stroke to do essentially the same thing. Okay, so we're going to start off with the path. And the trick to this is when you're tracing this in that order that you trace, that's the way it's going to reveal. Okay, so if you want your letter to reveal from the bottom up, then you would start down here and you'd trace around. Okay, I'm not going to do all of it because it's just going to take too long. I'm just going to do a few letters. Okay, but you get the idea that you'd want to do it all the way across. So for this one, I actually want to start at the top. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to click and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to reveal these areas. So I'm kind of going like this. So this is how it's going to reveal. And then the tricky part is to get back around here so that it reveals this way. You don't want to cut across because that might do something weird because it's going to follow whatever's masked. It's going to hide here. So we're going to go back around and then to this area here. And you want to go as closely on top of the letter as you can because when we choose to mask this and use a stroke to create that shape that's going to cover it up, it needs to be able to cover it up pretty exact. Okay, so we're going to go all the way around here and then we're going to start here. And even though it's a different letter, we still keep using the same continuous path. And then we're going to go here and I want this to reveal first, so then we're going to come straight down. And then we're going to come across and then come across and then I'm going to go all the way around in here and come around and then I'm going to go here and I'm going to go around. I'm trying to go around the letter as if I was drawing this. Okay. Then here, here, and then here I would go up here and I'm going to start with this stroke here. Go this way, then go up, then go this way, then go here. It gets tricky when you see that plus sign. Try not to click on that. Go all the way out to the end. Come back out. Come up. If you accidentally get deselected like that, go back to the last point and click on it and then continue. Oh, it keeps doing it. Go there. You might need to go off a little. Sometimes you got to go up. There we go, up there. Then come back down and then find a way to get back around this way. Oops, see, that gave me an extra point. I'm going to click on the last point, go back around. It can get tricky. Nobody said it was going to be easy. And then we go here and then we go here. And I'll just stop there. Okay. Once you've created your path, this is the guide that it's going to follow. Wherever you started, it's going to go around, it's going to go around, it's going to go around, all the way around. And that's how it's going to reveal in the order that you traced it. That's the guide. But what we need is we need to stroke this guide so that that shape, that stroke, is going to cover up and create the mask that reveals it. So we need to stroke it. Okay. So while it's selected, we're going to go to Effect. And then we're going to go to Generate, and then we're going to go to Stroke. And what that does is it basically takes that path and it's going to give it a stroke. Okay. Now what you want to make sure you have turned on is this mask shape visibility, just so that you can see what you're working with in case it's not on by default. Okay. But now that you have the stroke, what we want to do is we want to grow the stroke until we cover up the letters as much as possible. When they're covered up, that means you're going to be able to have a good mask because this shape is what's going to mask and reveal what's underneath. Okay. Once you've got that, you got to switch this here to reveal the original layer. Okay. And see how this shows you what the mask looks like. It looks pretty decent. We could tweak it if we wanted to. So before you animate it, you just want to make sure everything's good. If you need to modify anything, you get your black arrow and you could kind of tweak the lines a little bit, make sure that everything looks good. Okay. But it's not animated. So the next step is to animate it. Once you're ready, you'd go to the beginning here where that layer starts, because it's not visible here yet, but right where that red layer starts right there. You'd go there, you'd go to the end and select the stopwatch. And what you do is you'd select it here and you'd say 0. And then you'd go down the timeline, however long you'd want it to take here. And now you'd set it back to 100%. And what would happen is when we test this out, I'm going to click off of it just so we don't keep seeing that stroke. If we hit play, okay, I'm going to pause it. You'll notice that some areas are kind of a little weird right there, and that's because of that path and the stroke not really covering it up. So you can always modify that. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and click on that layer, and I'm going to go and grab my black arrow here, and you can modify that by adjusting, like say this one here, that's where it's at. See, it's making weird things happen here, so we're just going to go like that, and that helped the letter a little bit. Okay, so you can always go back and edit, but basically that's how you make your reveal mask. Okay, and as long as you have this stroke sequentially selected, which it should be by default, it will sequentially follow the way that you created that stroke. All right, this concludes your lesson. If you have any questions, please be sure to contact me.